you talk a little bit about when the component did update lifecycle method is called?
Sure. Let's get rid of all the error stuff really quick. So here, inside of component did update. So component did update is going to get called when props change or state change. That's about it, right? So it's very much similar to useEffect, right? So useEffect gets run whenever its dependencies update. Component did update is going to get run every single time that a prop or state changes, right? So that's why I say if this state dot has error, right, then set this to be something else. Now, I could have just said this because this only has one piece of state, but what happens later if this has more state? You want to be specific, like this reacts to this, right? So in this particular case, this is reacting to component did catch gets called, right? Or no, sorry, get derived state from error. This gets called, this updates the has error to be true, which is then going to call component did update here. That's kind of the, does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Of course. Good question.
Could you actually talk about the get derived state from error?
Sure.
Is that how does that get called? How does React know to run that function?
Oh, sorry. This gets called whenever there's an error inside of it, right? And so because it's a static method, it can call it on the class and not on the instance. Not that that's really a thing that you need to really care too much about. But what it'll do is it'll call this method. It'll pass in.
Is that because of the naming convention that it knows to call it?
Yes.
I guess I don't. Okay.
Yeah. So it has to be called this. This is a lifecycle method in that sense,
Okay.
right? Just like we had, what was the other?
On carousel.
Yeah, the carousel one as well. Get derived state from props. So yeah, it'll pass in the error here. For us, we just know it's like there's an error now, so we're going to update that state, and then it's going to re-render with that new state. Does that make sense? Cool.
If there's an error in production that's not handled, what does React do?
It unmounts. Yeah, it just takes the entire thing out of the DOM. So a lot of companies will just have one top-level error handler, and that'll handle the entire app. But you can also have multiple levels of, like, maybe your footer has a lot of errors. Maybe you shouldn't have that footer, but maybe it does, right? But then you could have one specifically for your footer, right? Yeah, Mark?
Can error boundaries be used with functional hooks?
No. Because get derived states from errors, there is, and component did catch for that matter, there is no equivalent for these with hooks. So this one you actually have to use class components. Currently, there's no plans to fix that, but that isn't to say that there won't be plans. But yeah, currently there's no way to do it with hooks.
But so could you use it to wrap a component that's using hooks?
Right. Yeah, because this.props.children can be anything, right? It has no opinion on whatever its children's are going to be doing.